Just playing around with things real quick. All right. Evening, one and all. I'm Know Nothing Attorney. As always, I profess to know nothing. And aim to have a high degree of confidence in everything. I have no shame in admitting that I know nothing, because there's nothing wrong with being wrong. The only way to really be wrong is to have the opportunity to stop being wrong and missing it. I invite you to embrace knowing nothing with me, because only in embracing knowing nothing can you actually learn. We're here to learn together. And not only learn together, we got a whole lot more we got to get done, because we are in a dangerous situation right now with the Republic. So we're here to actually put work in. Hope you're ready to work. Downloaded DaVinci last night, so that's what we're going to be working on today. I recorded a video last night. Not the official one, but we're going to be working on video editing so we can actually figure out how to release a video and not just one that is off-the-cuff quality. What else? Happy Friday. Streaming later than I intended to. Did some trunk or treat tonight with Lore. She dressed as Sherma from Silk Song. And I dressed as the Knight from Hollow Knight. So, last minute old costume, threw a cloak on with the hood over, and had the weapon in hand. But I am planning to dress as Abby, the demon boy band member from K-pop Demon Hunters. Ordered the parts today, and they should be here by Monday. So I'll be ready for Halloween. Let's go. Yeah. So no grassroots building today. Once again, I am back to 50-50, hitting the 50% marker on meeting people in the neighborhood. Still though, in less than 2 weeks, we've got, that many, about that many, more contacts than we've had days since we started the channel. So, we're figuring it out. So let's see where DaVinci is. Downloads. Still got extracting to do. Oh no. Let's put the slideshow up while we're being impatient. Maybe I can talk about things in the slideshow. We got where's a good spot for it? Come over here. Maybe I make this. Let's see what this looks like if I make me big or me small and it big. Ooh, that's it's too much. It's too much, man. About I'll move that up. Size me down. Now I feel like I need like some art in the background. I don't really like that. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Toying around with things. Let's Stop. What if I take this? That's not me. I want this. Thank you. Yeah, I think this idea works. We'll frame it right there. And then we'll... No, don't want that. Just keep sizing up until we get... It's about where I want it. Then we can be off to the side a little bit. Okay. Move it up a little. Yeah. Let's go. Nope, not that. And then slideshow up there. Make it a bit smaller. Okay. Yeah, I think I like that. That works. Got bill rights over here. Okay. Now, while we were doing that, DaVinci Resolve is working for us. Check, check. Sure. Figuring out my audio will get boring at some point, and I'll stop making sounds into the microphone. But hey, verbal tics, you know? Yes, DaVinci. Must install these components. Man, there's so much going on. Oh, brother. We had more to do last night than we thought. I thought I was just going to download a simple file. More challenging than that. Being very patient. Oh, I was going to talk about things on the slides. Let's see. Being a good MAGA means being a bad Christian. Yeah, I mean, we don't have a whole lot of lines that Christ ever said, but MAGA goes against a whole lot of those. Hey, look, you can see Lasagna's reflection in the Bill of Rights. What's up, Lasagna? Sonny saw you on camera last night. Oh, did you hear Sonny's name? Tomorrow you're going to see Sonny. Let's see if my eyebrows are going crazy. Seems okay. Okay, where do I did install. Now what? Excuse me. I don't know how I never hear, like, people who live stream sneeze. Bizarre to me. Are they even human? What's new in DaVinci Resolve 20.2? Quick setup. Okay. I I didn't save anything like that. Wait, oh, is it up here? Not anymore. Hey. No, I don't want to hear myself. I'm just opening a bunch of copies of me. How is it doing that? Oh God. Oh God, what's happening? Where are these other tabs of me? Okay, is it all closed? I think it's all closed. Good, good, okay. Whew. License key. Maybe it got emailed to me. Sure hope it did. If you've seen any other videos, you might notice that I have my mic in a different place. It's not hanging down from above frame. Trying to get my DaVinci license. Lasagna, you stink. You stinky girl. Ooh. Show me DaVinci. No? No, no DaVinci? Oh man. Oh, Lasagna, go on. You smell. Go on. Go on. Oof. Okay. And she's not there. Did I use my alt email? No. I guess I can get another license number. I said go on. I don't want to smell you over here. I need to give you a bath later. Ugh, where did the DaVinci tab go? Oh, wait. Login? Think I can get us in here. Trying to hack myself. Oh, brother. Pretty sure that was the password I used. Where did my Proton mail go? There we go. I'm pretty sure that I used my Proton Mail. Wow, this is exciting stream content. Try a different email, I guess. Sucks. This sucks. Pretty sure that I had to make an account. Wait, what? Okay. Pretty sure I had to make an account to download this. Hmm. Okay. Now it's acting like I didn't make an account to download DaVinci. Why? Oh my god. Hmm. Man, maybe I didn't get a license key? Black Magic Cloud ID. Okay, what? It's been old. I didn't get an application key. This sucks. Really, really bad content. Not gonna have viewers, but whatever. I don't know what to say something that one. Shaking. Oh my god. Okay, guess what's going on? I have magic cloud ID. Okay. So let's start everything. I use this thing. So it's supposed to use three. Okay. Let's explain. We can count. It just doesn't. Okay. Alright, fine. Okay, where is the DaVinci stored? Uh, let's see. I see. Hmm. What I read about autopilot? I don't think so. Let's try that again. Yeah, that one. Correct version. Let's change it all. Something right here. Here. Robotic like stream. Because I'm in high school. Okay, okay. I am in high school. It sounds like I'm in high school now. Oh, okay, here. I need to pause my music for a second. Okay. Music stopped. Okay, I'm in the Discord chat. Can you hear me? Cool, it's a robot. Hmm. What does this mean? Can you confirm is there set on the actual screen that's how it goes on too? Jeez. Did you hear me? Is that going to go to my side or Discord chat? Oh, what does that mean? Do I guess my mic? Well, give me a second. I'm going to see if I can figure this out. Check audio. Wait. Yes. Anything changed? Well, okay. change on audio. So it's only coming through on audio. Is there any other programs? Because it's getting coming through anywhere else. Like, I'll stop talking about my audio, it'll stop. Well, I appreciate your help. Um, where are you listening to? Discord link and DaVinci? It's just me. Okay. YouTube chat. Okay, I don't know about it. I don't know how many people know this. Try that out. Alright, you're recording audio, so let's hack back into the audio. Just give me 1 more seconds. And then we'll be done. That's bad. Check my audio. See if it's changing the audio quality. It looks like I'm text of the screen to speak to the secret. Audio might act closer to where it usually is. How does that sound? Mm-hmm. Okay. How's this? Way better. Check the audio. Now that we restart the screen. And yeah. is salary rate. Is Okay, what about now? Alright, recording audio again. See how this one sounds. And I think that's audio now. Okay. Recording audio again. See if that helps at all. Check, check, check. Okay, so it's done. It's just check my audio software. It jumps if you leave. It's so sensitive. Ah, okay. That probably won't work. All right, no way that helped in any way, but we'll test it. Testing audio with the recording so that I can listen back. No way. I just had to reboot my Scarlett Studio, Scarlett Solo. Oh my god. That's so frustrating. Okay, well, I know what to do next time. You want to talk about Constitution stuff while you're still here? So I can have a little fun? What was I even doing? Yay, Constitution stuff. I actually had lunch with my constitutional law professor yesterday to talk about this stuff. So that was really cool. Um, and he challenged me a lot on the philosophy part of this because he's like, as he put it, he's an eternal optimist. Let me see if I can fix this again. As he put it, he's an eternal optimist, and he's still hoping things can get better. You failed the citizenship test. It, did you actually take a citizenship test? So he said that he's an eternal optimist, and he likes to think that maybe things can get better somehow. His wife's the complete opposite, and she would agree with me. Um, Washington Post has some sample questions that might be fun to go over. Sure, I like that. Embarrass myself live. Cool. Um, but at least to finish this thought, he also said he pointed me to some books that other uh, constitutional scholars he knows have written on the subject of Article 5. Um, and he said at least one of them would really agree with you that this is the only way we can do things. Um, but so he pushed me on like the why this? Like there are so many like obstacles in the way. Couldn't we do this other thing? And every time I hit him back with a, well, I've already thought about that, and here's what I think about it. And every time he was just like, okay, all right, at least you thought about it. Like, I see that your head's actually in the game, so that felt good. Um, the main one he hit me with though that really struck me, which at first I was just like, oh crap, but the more I thought about it, I realized I think I can turn this into an advantage actually. He hit me with, I already knew this to a degree, but part of it I hadn't really grappled with yet. But he said the biggest thing about Article 5, which if you don't know the text, we can go over it here in just a second. The biggest thing with Article 5 is it's so vague, it's so undefined, we don't know how it will go. at all. There are so many things we don't know about how it would even work at the most basic level. Um, where's my script so I can just read from it? Where? There we go. Oh, hey, whoa. What? Give me my script. Okay, so I'll share the sticking point. Here, okay. Here's the text of Article 5. The Congress on the application. Yeah, whatever. I'll put it up. Yo, that's too much. It's too much, man. Don't need to go that far. Let's just zoom in. Okay, here in the italics. The Congress, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution when ratified by 3/4 of the several states. And text that's not included here because I didn't want to muddy it by saying there are two different ways. Well, it gets really sticky. So I'll get to that. The complication lies in the two methods mentioned after 3/4 of the several states. One is the state legislatures can vote to ratify. The other is that conventions of the states can vote to ratify. And I find it a little bit confusing that they include the state conventions and this phrase call a convention in the same sentence. Those are different conventions. Can I? Yeah. Congress shall call a convention. But then the states have their own conventions for ratification. What this what this convention is, nobody has any fucking idea. It doesn't say anything. We have no idea. Congress could decide what the rules of the convention are. Congress could decide what can be addressed at the convention. Like it's for proposing amendments. They can decide, well, specifically what amendments, potentially. They can decide who the delegates to the convention are. Congress arguably can decide all of this. Now, I didn't have much of a legal answer at the time. I did have more of a philosophical answer, and that philosophical answer was to address your question. Basically, what it comes down to is we have two separate sovereigns interpreting the Constitution in a different way. If we had like 38 states that wanted to have a new Constitution, the states would be sitting there saying, well, we read it this way, and you need to give us the convention that we think we're allowed to have and that we want so that we can make the new Constitution. And Congress can sit there and say, no, we read it a different way, and it's our job to read it because we're the ones having to call a convention. And we can call whatever convention we want. We don't have to do what you want us to do. You're the states. And my philosophical answer to that was, well, now it's just butting heads. Neither one has any more right than neither one has no right to interpret the Constitution. And what I said was, Congress only has this power through the states giving it that power. So it seems to me the states have more of a right to determine what this means than Congress does. That's a philosophical argument. But thinking about it after that lunch is where I got really excited about this. Because I think it actually becomes an advantage to Project V. And that is, to me, this is the big phrase. on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states. Now, in the past, that has been very limitedly used. It has been used in a very limited way. Just it's been separate states appealing to Congress for a convention, for specific amendments. But it doesn't have to be limited in its use. If you could get 34 states together at a convention before applying for a convention only of the states, then you could have the states draft a single document. And the states could all sign on to that single document. And in that single document, you could say, we, these 34 states, apply for a convention wherein we each select these delegates from our own state. We're each going to choose them in this way. They will be certified in this way. And we will discuss amendments at this convention to whatever extent we wish, up to and including a rewrite of the Constitution. And then you submit that application to Congress. Now, Congress doesn't have any choices anymore because they can only call a convention on the application of the legislatures. So they have to call a convention. There has to be one called. They can't not call a convention. The only thing they could try to do is call a convention outside the bounds of what the states asked for. But at that point, no one has applied for that convention. At that point, Congress is calling a convention ultra vires, outside the limits of their own power. The only way that they can act according to the Constitution and within their power is to call the convention that the states specifically asked for. And I think that's a very solid legal argument. What's more exciting is that legal argument turns into strategic benefits. The first, I guess I'll go in order from least to most exciting. There are two major strategic benefits to this. If you're dealing with an overreaching fascist federal government and you want to have a convention of the states for drafting an application before the national convention, that overreaching fascist federal government has two choices. The first is they can say, oh no, y'all don't do that. We'll stop doing all the crazy stuff we're doing. We'll back off. You don't have to do that. That, I think, at that point is actually the more damaging of the two options, because I wouldn't want states to lose steam because they think it's not necessary anymore. But lost my train of thought. Oh, but in that case, you're asking fascists to show weakness. So not very likely in that case. So they have to show weakness, and they have to limit the constraints on the states at that point. So that's a benefit to the states. I think it's the worst of the two options, but it is a benefit to the states. The other thing they can do is crack down and say, you can't defy the federal government like this. You are the states, and you can't hold a convention to draft an application that would bind Congress. We're not going to let you do that. At that point, it only becomes more obvious that we need to do this, and so they're just showing their hand. Neither option looks good for them. Love that. Great strategic option. But the more exciting thing to me, the main thing that makes me most excited about this whole conversation I had with my con law professor, you don't need 34 states anymore. 34 is such an incredibly difficult goal. So no matter how much you can reduce that, and I don't know what number we need to aim for at this point, my first number I go to is 26. If you can get 26 states together and say, hey, everyone, we are calling we're placing an open call for a convention to apply for a convention to Congress. And in that convention, we're going to say who our delegates are going to be, what the rules are going to be, and what we can include in our convention. Suddenly, you're telling 24 states that you only need a third of them to join them to actually make this happen. And now everyone's self-interest gets really elevated to say, oh, I want part in writing that because I don't want you to decide for me what it's going to be like. Because if I'm one of the 12 or 16 states that's left out, and you make this convention happen, then I'm bound by the rules of the convention, and I had nothing to say in how it's going. So suddenly you create a rush for the remaining states to jump in and be part of drafting that application to have a national convention. So we drop from, if we're just saying the goal is greater than a majority, or I guess a majority, if your goal is a majority of the states, then we drop from 34 to 26. That's like 25%. We just made it 25% easier almost. That's really cool. And just as a bonus, I did some more research on this. That's what the founders did. When they started drafting the changes to the Articles of Confederation, I think they had 9 states out of, I don't remember if it was only 13 at that point. I forget when we added our first new states, but there were only 9 of them at that point, and they started approaching these questions, and they were like, I think maybe we actually need to just make a whole new constitution. We should turn this convention into a national convention. They did this, and I'm just like, that, okay. Awesome. That convention was in Annapolis, and just as in a starting place, I am calling this idea the Annapolis Initiative. The step that comes before applying for a national convention. I marvel at myself. I hope you got to hear some of that. I hope you thought that was interesting, at least. And now, for your benefit, I'm going to pull up these citizenship questions. Let's switch over to this. Washington Post. Let's embarrass ourselves. Oh, but it's paywalled. No, get free access through November 13th. I don't want to download a browser. Why? Such a weird thing to try to force on me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love my professor. Probably the greatest legal educational inspiration of my career. Okay, let's throw this up on OBS. I think I can just, what is this here? That's not the right one. Nope. That's just, that's a video of me. What? Where is this window? Should be able to see it. Well, I'll just try again, I guess. Window capture. Keep wanting to say it's the Wall Street Journal. Okay. Let's come over here. Maybe we can make it a bit skinnier. Cool. Make the ads go away too. Love that. Okay. Can get a bit cleaner. Let's hide the slideshow. Okay. Let's do this thing. How does your civics knowledge stack up? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Thomas Jefferson. Name a power that is only for the federal government. Print money, declare war, make treaties. Oh, do you hear something? Lasagna? I don't think that's for us. Oh, well, thank you. But going into it, you never know, right? So it's fun to throw it up live. But you're my only audience right now, but it will be here for posterity. Posterior. Nope, this is all the above. What amendment says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are U.S. citizens? Well, that's fun, topical news. The American Revolution had many important events. Name one. The Battle of Yorktown. 17. 17. The world turned upside down. Why were the Federalist Papers important? Well, that is a subjective question. Well, huh? Okay. Right off the bat, James Madison is famous for many things. Name one. First Secretary of State, helped draft the Declaration of Independence, founded the University of Virginia, president during the War of 1812. Well, I don't know this one off the top of my head, so let me think it through for a second. Okay. No? Okay. I did the math and I was like, that seems right, but I don't know who's the first Secretary of State. Sitting there remembering his role in Hamilton, and I was like, maybe he was being the first. Was it Thomas Jefferson was the first Secretary of State? It's so dumb. Thomas Jefferson. I sat there and did the math. I was like, he was the 5th president. That sounds like 1812, right? See, let me prove my knowledge at least by saying I know he's the 5th president. When did all women get the right to vote? What was 1919? That was the 19th Amendment. So the 19th Amendment passed in 1920. Why did the United States enter the Persian Gulf War? The public reason? Hmm. Are these real citizenship questions? Okay. Okay. That's very specific, and I think Memorial Day goes beyond that. At least I think people treat it like it goes beyond that. I mean, I know, but that could be memorial of the like who them serving their country and dying in that way, but it could also be memorial of service. It can also be memorial of family members who had a history of giving their lives for America or giving service to America. I'd always consider it to be more than that, and like we celebrate veterans during Memorial Day. I Okay, so the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day, I guess. See, look at me. I did a 70%. It's a passing grade. I don't know if it passed the citizenship test. If it counts. I think at this point we we solved the audio issue. I I don't know if I'm ready to start editing videos at 11 o'clock at night or like start working on learning how to edit videos. Anything else we should do, Net Dad, before we call it for the night? I can work on editing tomorrow. Can't believe how long we struggled with the audio. I have a sign off. I do my usual "I'm proud of you" speech, and I transition from that into my actual sign off statement, which is 2 lines. Because I'll never not do my "I'm proud of you" I'm proud of you speech. I put it in my script, and the my AI back check was like, "Are you sure you need this in there?" I was like, "Don't question me. I will never not tell my audience or viewer that I'm proud of them. They have to hear it every time." Do you want to hear the script before I go? And you can give me your thoughts. Then we can sign off. Part of me feels like I have a natural tendency in my head that like it says you're putting your thoughts out there and that's going to come off as juvenile. That's it. Like that's the extent of the thought. I so whew, this is it's rough. So the whole time I feel like it's juvenile. I don't know whether or not that's accurate. Uh, let's get rid of that. Okay, so we're looking at like probably a 12 to 15 minute video. So playing Borderlands on the other screen. Okay, then lock in, I guess. And I hope this flows okay in terms of the logical progression of the video. I think it does. So, just in case, we're going from the hook to my brief introduction to explaining what Article 5 is, to explaining why Article 5 is necessary, to explaining why Article 5 is the only option, to closing out with some honest statements. All right, here we go. January 6th, 2021. Here's something you may not know about that day. One man's conscience saved American democracy. For a time. Not institutions, not checks and balances. Just Mike Pence doing the bare minimum. Counting correctly. Instead of going along with a criminal conspiracy to override the people's will with fake electoral votes. Don't take my word for it. Even the schemers called them fake in private. We have the records. That was almost 5 years ago. And the comeuppance for the people who planned to silently end American democracy? Nothing. While they waited, we caught our breath. And did nothing to stop them from trying again. And then they easily reclaimed the reins of power. The Constitution remains, but it is structurally compromised. And that will be true no matter who we entrust it to. The proven and persistent possibility of a constitutional crisis is itself a constitutional crisis. And there is only one solution when the Constitution becomes the crisis. An Article 5 Constitutional Convention. The Constitution's option for rewriting its own rules. A tool for the people to completely bypass the federal government and remake it. But Article 5 only works if you know it exists. If the people have the strength to wield it. This next line is going to sound hokey, but I think it'll make sense with the visuals that are going to go with it. I'm an attorney. More than that, I'm know-nothing attorney. I love studying constitutional law because it represents our attempt to codify our best instincts, to improve our shared existence. That gives me a head start on explaining Article 5, but you don't need a law degree to understand it or use it. Article 5 belongs to the people, not lawyers. Let me show you what it says. The Congress, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by 3/4 of the several states. If you're not keeping score, that's 34 states to call a convention, and 38 to ratify whatever comes out of it. And I mean whatever, including a complete rewrite of the Constitution. The only thing explicitly protected from rewrite is equal representation in the Senate. When lawyers read law, there's a rule. The intentional inclusion of certain things means the intentional exclusion of all others. The founders designed this tool to be capable of, quite literally, anything. And why wouldn't they? That's exactly what they were doing when they wrote it. Using a convention to factory reset their government. Don't forget that our current Constitution is the second one. When the founders saw the Articles of Confederation were broken, they didn't enshrine the document as untouchable. No, they acknowledged it and replaced it with something better. And make no mistake, our system is broken. I'm going to show you exactly how it's broken, why Article 5 is the only solution, and why it's safer than you might think. Let me show you what I mean. Let's take 3 constitutional crises that have already happened. Not hypotheticals, not exaggerations. Real violations of the constitutional order that should terrify every American equally, regardless of political affiliation. Number 1. As I mentioned at the top, Donald Trump attempted to overturn the results of a Democratic election by substituting states' certified votes with fake ones for himself. Number 2. While calling them patriots, Donald Trump pardoned approximately 1,500 people who participated in the storming of the Capitol on January 6th, including those that attacked law enforcement officers. Number 3. Donald Trump demanded the indictment of James Comey, Adam Schiff, and Letitia James for investigating him, despite career prosecutors finding insufficient evidence for charges. These aren't isolated incidents. They're connected. They emerge from the same constitutional vulnerabilities. And if you correct one, the vulnerability remains while you confront the others. This is a Hydra problem. A Hydra has many heads, and I've only shown you 3. The current administration has created dozens of constitutional crises: seizing appropriations, extrajudicial killings, due process suspension. Each crisis threatens the Republic. Together, they reveal something worse. The Constitution has vulnerabilities that make all of this possible. Here's the problem with fighting a Hydra. Cutting off heads doesn't kill it. Even if we remove every bad actor tomorrow, even if Trump leaves office, the constitutional holes remain. The blueprint for how to exploit them is now public. Project 2025 exists with or without Trump. And traditional solutions, voting, protesting, prosecuting, they're more important than ever. But they can't fix the underlying structural problems. They can only address symptoms. You beat a Hydra by changing the rules of the fight. We can take that lesson straight from Hercules. New rule, no more heads. The point is this: don't play by the monster's rules. Make your own. That's what Article 5 does. It can close the constitutional vulnerabilities the bad actors exploited. And it can do even more than that. Article 5 changes the game itself. But know nothing, I hear you say. Radicals were calling for a constitutional convention in the late 20-teens. Isn't this an option we should be scared of? Let's get that straight right now. No. But I'll tell you what you should be scared of. 5 Supreme Court justices willing to throw out decades-old rights on a whim, with other rights next in line. Or 1 president, who's consolidated legislative, judicial, and executive power beyond his office, without consequence. Don't get me wrong, I understand the concern. Article 5 sounds almost frighteningly powerful. What's to stop it from going wrong? Simple math. Check this out. 38 states to ratify. That means it takes more than just radicals to pose any threat. It would take 38 radical states. States whose powers are being taken from them at this moment. Let's do the mental math. Can you think of 13 states that would never ratify a radical constitution on either side of the fence? If you were in the blue corner, for instance, did you think of any of these? Cue image. Red corner? Opposite image. Neither extreme can win. It doesn't look so dangerous now, does it? Doesn't look so dangerous now, does it? Got to figure out how I'm delivering each of these lines. A constitutional convention requires actual negotiation and compromise over some pretty existential stuff. And when we get down to the actual fundamentals of governance, you'd be surprised how many people you disagree with suddenly become very reasonable, no matter your affiliation. Conservatives and liberals? Neither one is essentially radical. And let's face it, we are in a very fragile and possibly brief moment. Where'd that go? Where your historical political enemies, they stand to be your allies. Rational people on both sides want the madness to stop. A window where both sides see the system as broken and want structural change. We need to use it and trust each other to take our power back from the radical elements abusing it now. The best place to build that trust is in your local communities, and it's in your local communities where real power lies. If you pull back the curtain separating you from the government, you'll see the states are nothing more than collections of local communities. Your communities. You have actual power there. And if you walk away from this video with one idea, let it be this, an idea that captures the very spirit of the Article 5 Constitutional Convention. The American federal government is nothing more than a convenient shared fiction of the states. And when it ceases to be convenient, the states may replace it with something that is convenient. That's right. The president, the federal government, they aren't the rightful holders of American power. They are agents, custodians. When we demand they return it, it's no longer theirs to withhold. It's much easier to wield power when it's close at hand. And if we find the strength to move these individual United States together, there's no end to what we can achieve. Hear me out. So far, I've only talked about the things we need Article 5 to stop. But there's so much forward-thinking good it could do that we could never do without it. Start with federal restraints, clarification of rights, reorganization. Sure, but how about other things almost all of us can agree on? Congressional term limits, judicial term limits, age limits for federal office, an end to congressional stock trading, real anti-gerrymandering standards, campaign finance reform. You think the people in power now will just give you those things? You don't need them to. And how about some things we should at least talk about? Ranked choice voting, positive rights, representation for Americans in D.C. and Puerto Rico, personal data ownership. With a constitutional convention, not only are these things possible, they're suddenly tame and approachable. The things we already agree on become achievable. And the power to make it happen is closer than you think. In your state legislature, in your community, in you. Article 5 isn't a distant dream. It's a tool the founders meant for us to use, and it's long past time we take them up on the offer. I'm not pitching something quick or easy. Realistically, we're talking years, maybe a decade. But we're facing a very real possibility of a long, hard road. And we have a choice. Be dragged along that road kicking and screaming, or start building our off-ramp today. So here's what I propose. Consider whether you do the work required to protect what matters to you. For me, it's my daughter and the world I want her to inherit. The one I dreamed of as a kid. Now ask yourself, would you do that work for a decade? Then, when you know your answer, never think about that decade again. Because you need this tomorrow. So today you work. Today, and today, and today. A month ago, I had no equipment, no platform, didn't know my neighbors. But someone had to do something. So I made myself this promise. Every day I can, I build community. Because that's the first thing Article 5 needs. And every day, even when I can't, I do something to further that goal. If you feel scared, angry, tired, exasperated, don't do it alone. I understand. Let me not do it alone with you. We can build this together. And don't stop with me. You don't need special qualifications. Just talk to your neighbor. I know it feels weird these days, but most people want to connect. Start there. And in an upcoming video, I'll explain how we get from there to the convention. And as a tease, let me say, the plan involves something I'm calling the Annapolis Initiative. named after the 1786 convention where states coordinated before drafting the US Constitution. And this huge, powerful step requires significantly less than 34 states needed to kick off a convention. I'm thinking 26? Want to know how that many states can make a difference? Subscribe. Join the Discord. Because we're building all of this together. Share this video with others, and I'll share more videos with you. I'm Know Nothing Attorney, and as you'll always hear me say, I'm proud of you. I don't need to know you for that to be real. You deserve to hear it. Because life is hard. It's been hard, and it will be hard. And the fact that you face every day the way you do is remarkable. So stay remarkable, and I'll see you at the convention. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. That's the video. I feel better about it each time I read it. You let me know when you've got your game paused so I can ask you. I need a human to ask this question to. A human of discerning character, with taste. Because I pitched an idea to the AI bounce ideas off of for this project. I pitched an idea and it was like, oh, that sounds good. And I was like, yeah, you also thought putting a Captain Barbosa quote in the middle of that video sounded like a good idea. And I was just joking. Oh, geez. So my thought is, people expect, I think, an attorney, say Legal Eagle, to come on screen in their suit. So my thought is, I come in at the beginning of this video with my full three-piece. And then when I get to, I'm an attorney. More than that, I'm Know Nothing Attorney. I just, while I'm talking, casually remove the jacket, put it over the back of the chair. Then, when I get to, you beat a Hydra by changing the rules of the fight, I channel my dad coming home to find out the shit you've done energy, and you beat a Hydra by changing the rules of the fight. Just take the tie off. Don't address it. Just take the tie off while I'm talking. And then when I get down to the stuff about the hard work, I roll up the sleeves. So I take the transition from, look, I'm a serious attorney and I think highly of myself, to, dude, I'm just a guy and I'm ready to do some work. That's my thought, just a little bit of a visual to go through the video that says how I intend to approach this with the audience without saying it in words. I don't know if I can pull it off. I need to try it physically to see if I can do it fluidly. But that's if you think it sounds like a good idea. What do you think? Hmm. Hmm. T-shirt. I guess it says a lot too. I guess my only thought was, the only other thought was, I hate wearing a three-piece in general. I hate wearing suits. And I was like, if I come in wearing a suit and then I transition out of it and then I never do one in a video again, it says a bit. But if I just came in wearing a t-shirt and never touched a suit at all, that also says something. But how would people believe I'm an attorney if I don't wear a suit? I'm gonna highlight that line because if I don't wear a suit, I'm just gonna get rid of that line. No. Thoughts on the script? Don't know how much of it you're actually able to pay attention to while you're shooting bandits. Fetch. Bring me the ball. Fetch. Fetch. Fetch the ball. Put it in the Discord for a critique. Oh, that's an idea for sure. I won't expect you to look at it right now, but I'll put it in there. Where am I going to put it? Put it in Article 5 discussion. What does that look like when I post it? Oh, that's awful. I don't want that. What format should I share this in? Upload a file. Download. Okay, let's see if that works better. Cool. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay. Well, then I'm going to sign off for the night and work on some editing, maybe some D&D tomorrow. All right. Thanks for being here, NetDad. Appreciated all your help this evening. And I appreciate you checking in from time to time to see how things are going. Eventually, hopefully I'll get from 0 to 1 viewers to 5 to 10, and then you take off from there. I just recently heard one of the debaters I watched explain to somebody, he's like, dude, I was just talking to 5 to 10 people a day, every day for a good long time before just something went viral. So maybe we'll get there at some point. Anyway, and I can't wait until hopefully I have my first debate with somebody my first collaboration with somebody. Anyway, time for me to sign off. I'm No Nothing Attorney. As always, I profess to know nothing and aim to have a high degree of confidence in everything. I urge you to embrace knowing nothing with me, because it's only in knowing nothing and embracing that you can actually learn something. And I love to learn, and I want to share that with you. I'm proud of you. And I don't need to know you for that to be real, because you deserve to hear it. You do, because life is hard. Life has been hard, and it will be hard. And the fact that you face every single day the way you do is remarkable. So stay remarkable, and I'll see you, NetDad, at the convention. Have a good night.